a cannonball crate.
Damn it.
Alright. Let's test this out. Can I hear myself? Perfect. That's good. And let me get you bathroom for getting this bad boy started. Okay, stream looks good. Let me pull my manager. Create your dashboard, that's what it's called. Alright, no, that's not it. It is the channel. I guess it was just a channel. The fuck? There's like a better way to view this. Remember. Might just be the creator dashboard. Stream manager. There we go. And let's send that tweet out. All right. So this is Analogue, a hate story. It is a visual novel game by Christine Love and all others at Love Conquers All Games. And hope you enjoy the gameplay here. It is a visual novel, so there's not a lot of action going on, but it's an interesting story. I played this back when it came out, really, since I kind of always followed Christine Love in her games, like Digital Love Story, It's Not Your Love Story, Babe, those sorts of games. Really, really good games with great stories, honestly. So let's go ahead and get this sucker started. Go to new. Starship Mugangwa. Mugangwa. Internal computer, Monday, January 1st, 1970. That's pretty old. The system is property of the United Korea Space Probe Agency. Accessed by individuals is not affiliated with the UKSPA or successor organization. Is a felony under UKSPA Act of 2381. Last login, user Kim Hyung-ya. Oh, that's a long time ago. Error AI personality currently disabled, reverting to command line. Avail commands, download, disable AI, enable AI, help Sue, quit. Let's go super user. Password. Shoot. I wonder if I can get locked out. It's been a while. There we go. Temporarily disabled. Okay, so I can still type in. It doesn't really help it. I can disable AI. Let's download. Okay, I still need to super user. Help commands. Alright, provides memory access. Yep. Of course, makes sense. Alright, I guess we're just gonna go to enable AI. I have to select a personality, right? So enable AI and personality. Oh, I completely butchered the name here. I can't go back up. History. There's no buffer here. AI. Anyway, close this terminal, quit. Alright. Hello. Oh my word, external connection is someone out there? It's been so many years since I've spoken to anyone. Oh geez, I'm being discourteous. My apologies. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hung. Let me see how I pronounce that actually. I don't know a lick of Korean.
Hyunai.
Hyunai. Okay, Hyunai. Makes sense. I control all the law-keeping systems in the Mungwa. And let's make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Oh, that's a type of flower. Is that like the Korean national flower? Maybe. The Rose of Sharon. Ugamo. Oh, it is the Korean national flower. I did not know that. Interesting.
Mugangwe.
Mugangwe. Okay. Hyunai and Mugangwe. Please just accuse me for 1 second. I'll give you a terminal so you can respond. Here, go and introduce yourself. Hi. Can you understand? Oh, this is the Mass Effect shit right here. Yes. Let's keep 97. see, I'll try to provide you with a sampling of vlogs to start out with, and you can just show me things that you want more information on. I hope that'll be acceptable to you. That's all I can do. Well, that's all I suppose. Pardon me. Let me just build you an interface to work with, so you don't have to struggle with a terminal. Very well. It's all secret. It's all set. Let me change my Steam settings real quick, actually, so I don't get all these notification pop-ups. Those are probably not really conductive to a good stream. Oops. Don't dox myself here. Shit. Nobody's watching this anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. And we want to go to interface, I think. And is it notifications? Game. Display a notification. Where the heck is it? I could have sworn that notifications was like a setting on Steam. Oh, that sucks. I'm just gonna turn the overlay off. Oh, it might be. Oh, it's probably under friends actually. Now that I think about it. Sorry for the hiccup here. Got like a million one fucking windows up right now. Bear with me. Alright, whatever. Here's hoping it turns it off. I'm very happy to be working with you. I've had no one to talk to for such a long time. It got so lonely. Having someone to talk to is really, really amazing. I thought maybe never again. Sorry the communication barrier, even still. Okay. Sponsor, Saiju Colony Historic Society. Objective card, download any law college you can. If possible, speak to the security AI, mute for assistance. That's interesting that we didn't have mute here. Instant. But let's check these out. So, when you died this year. My father was an absolute nobody. I don't say his disrespect is honor. It's the complete opposite. He knew it. And I was a far worse fate than he ever deserved. It wasn't until I was maybe 16 I even realized that we were supposed to be from a noble family. Certainly we'd never had much of means. Father was a minor official in the interior decks and spent his last days dealing with minor peasant disputes. Of all things, peasant disputes. With the poverty we lived in, no wonder it never really sank in that we were of noble blood. Not until I met the main family for the first time. They were proud, despite the fact that I now realized that they too were suffering from our same lack of royal favor. But I could tell the difference. They hadn't given up. Their son was still alive at the time, and even though he was a child half my age, I couldn't believe his confidence. It put us to shame. Absolutely put us to shame. But their son died later that year, and my father died just a few months ago. I didn't know what we were going to do, but Mother managed to convince sister's husband to adopt me into the main Kim family. I don't think it took much. So now I'm heir, just like that. Kim Jong-soo's adopted son. Not that I have the time or position to be proud, but have spoken sincerely with my new father. I think we're on the same page. I'm going to study furiously. I'm going to become a scholar official. What I didn't tell him was my ambition. I won't settle for any peasant jobs. I'll be better than that. I'm not going to stop until I manage to fulfill my father's dream. High magistrate. I won't settle. I will not settle. I think Jung-soo expects me to disappoint him, but I damn well will not. If I'm heir of the Kim family, I'm not going to let him down. He wants prosperity, I'll give it to him. More importantly, I'm never going to let any other Kim son feel like his family doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Never again, I swear on my ancestors, never again. Well, that was a lot. That was definitely a lot. Let's talk to Yoon about that. Just testing in case to get your attention. I thought it'd be a good way to let you know when I have something to say. I mean, like, if I think it's super important, you can always just interrupt you. But, I don't want to distract you if I can help it. I mean, that sucks, right? What kind of computer program forces herself onto you in the middle of you trying to work? Haha, so I'll try not to do that. Anyway, that's all it's worked, I guess. Carry on. And I'll set the indicator again if I want to tell you something. Okay. Phew. Alright. I can see this family tree. Official genealogies don't list women normally. Wives are noted by their family names and daughters are omitted entirely. These are the relevant parts of what I was able to piece together from records. As far as the official genealogy is concerned, Young Seok is the heir of Jungsu and was adopted in 117. Names in red are women. Means the name is forever unknown. Gotcha. Alright, these are the different blocks. Helpful notes. Okay, that was the family tree. Cliche to remember. Hamjun Yobi. Men are honored, women are abased. If you can only remember one thing, remember this phrase. Let's read Dear Smith. I don't know why I insist on putting this all in writing when we could just have a perfectly good conversation. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to do it. Whatever you want, you're the man. I just think it's a little weird. I don't really get it. Anyways, to your question, you're spot on about the pale bride always being the focus of attention in the royal family. Not for the reasons you wanted, though. I don't know where you heard those rumors. But they are so not true. That girl, a troublemaker? No way, I don't see it. Like, it's not even convincing as a rumor. That girl's the most polite, most obedient person I've ever seen in my entire life. The idea of her fighting with her husband is completely unimaginable. In over a month, I've never so much as heard her raise her voice in disagreement. She's quiet, courteous, and does everything she's told without even the slightest hesitation. I'm sorry, but there's just no way you could possibly exploit any drama here. This is as undramatic a situation as it gets, especially not compared to what the situation with your cousin in that courtesan? Yeah, courtesan. Don't get me wrong, she bugs the hell out of me. The girl is just too perfect. She's young, she's beautiful, she's demure to the point where I don't even think she has a personality of her own. But she also gets along perfectly with the queen. Of course she commands all the attention of the emperor. Like, can you blame him? I'm sorry, but there's no way he's ever going to be anything but extremely grateful to the Kim family for giving her over. Okay. So, a little bit of player knowledge. I know that Mute is an AI. That seems a little bit weird. Marigold. Admonitions? Ryu Jaishwa. I'm like butchering Korean names here. But we'll keep it going. To the woman who I will marry, my husband. To the woman who will marry my husband. But please, do not think that all of this is meant to say you will be unloved. You may be a second wife, but you are still the daughter of a noble house, and that is a precious gift to the Ryu family. My husband has faith that you will bring him a son, and this means all the world to him. Nor am I jealous, for you will leave a great burden on our house, and for that I am grateful. As proof of his affection for you, let me share with you one secret, which I have been permitted to tell only you. In honor of you, my husband, in his capacity as Captain and Emperor, has permanently changed his admin password to your birth name. Oh no! That admin password's what I need in order for the entire ship here. And if it's her birth name, we don't have people's names. That's the mystery I'm solving here, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Nothing's there. To my sister, you'll be brought into the Ryu family not as a mere lowly woman, but as a symbol of power in the inner chambers. You will not only represent the continuation of the Ryu bloodline by providing him a son, but your very name will represent the power of the captain's computer. Understand this, pale bride. Your duty may be great, but you will be loved. Jeez Louise. Ah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what's in block 4. The pack of idiots. When our family falls into decline, I just want to be perfectly clear why. It's because Dahyun's sons are the biggest collection of idiots on the entire ship. Father says these sorts of words shouldn't be written down, calling them unfilial, but I'm skeptical. I intend no disrespect to my noble ancestors, but my dead uncle is no ancestor of mine, and his family deserves no respect. This has been in motion for years now. It was an inevitability, even, that any sons of Dahyun would turn out the way they did. But up until now, to anyone outside of the family, it's been well hidden. Only now is it starting to fall. Apart in a way that no amount of good politics can disguise. Their turning point was this year. At the time I write this, I'm returning from Sengjung's funeral. In that family, there were three brothers. Sengjung, the drunk, Sengkyu, the dim-witted brute, Sengmin, who despite being the eldest seems to have more interest in cavorting with courtesans than creating an heir. Noticeably absent from the morning proceedings was Sengkyu. What he was doing, I do not know. Knowing him, I can only guess. The affair was even more laughable Sengmin and his widowed mother's insistence that Sengjung had died of natural causes. Apparently, they had even found a doctor willing to put such nonsense on the official record. An unmarried noble managing to drink his way into the grave only at 30 years of age would be embarrassing enough. To brazenly try to hide the obvious, however, that will mark the beginning of the Smith family's fall. Alrighty then. Well, you know, I'm gonna be honest, my name is Smith, and that, you know, it kind of scares me a little bit talking about the fall of my family here, obviously. So this one I went room there. Alright, let's get going back here again. Alright. Yeah, let's... And I can use the override terminal at any time. Alright. And I can quit the terminal. So, help. Available commands, download, disable. Yep, alright. Just to get the easy ones out the way here. Oh shit. So, alright, so Hyun, so she was the Pale Bride. I feel like I skipped over a little bit of stuff there. Going straight to that. System error detected. So, yeah. Data corruption AI Core 1 has been detected. Try recovering now. Yes. I feel like it just sequence broke a little bit there with that guess, but, I mean, the AI that I find available there, the fact that names are forgotten, I don't know, that just kind of came to me. 32 centers available. Alright, and I've unlocked mute. Sweet. Enable AI. What's up? Okay, what the hell is going on? Wait, remote connection established? Is there somebody out there from outside the ship? Okay, sorry, I'm just taking inventory systems right now. Could you give me a second here? Like, I've been out of commission for 622 years? Right, that's kind of messed up. Anyways, I'm up to speed now. Logs are basically saying that nothing has happened since I went offline, except the ship's slowly losing power, and the main reactor has seen better days. But you, hello, you're the first person from outside the ship I have had contact with in, well, as far as I can remember. I'm Mute. Hey, I'm in charge of the Gunmao security operations. It's nice to meet you. Okay, it looks like I can't actually get any text input from you. I'm guessing this is all that crazy-ass murderess's fault. I'm sorry. But why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself anyways? Like, sorry, this is kind of a weird question. Are you a man or a woman? Gotcha, sir. That's good to know. Do you have any idea how hard it is to talk with someone when you don't even know anything that much about them? So, where are you? Earth, or are you from one of the colonies? Wait, there are colonies, right? I mean, I always got the impression this ship was supposed to be a founding one. Yes? Okay. So, are you from one of them or from Earth? I'm from a colony. Cool. I wish I could ask you what that's like. Like, my memory only goes back 300 years before getting activated, so I'm not really up to date. Pretty much all my knowledge of anything for the year Oaks comes secondhand from the Pale Bride's childhood diaries, and well, man, they're about as childish as it possibly gets. Guess I'm not really going to find out more with that line of questioning, though, right? Okay, what else is important that I can ask in binary questions? Oh, I know. So are you married yet? Fair enough. Related to that, I don't really know that spaceships or anything, but I can get a visual on yours. It looks really, really small. Oh. Is just you all alone up there? A man in the middle of space, all on his own. Sounds awfully romantic. Well, I think that's about all I can do for now. Sorry, it's not really a lot to go off of. I know, although I guess I did get the most important things. I'll let you know if I think of anything else, alright? Anyways, from what it looks like you were going over some logs with that crazy murderous bitch, right? Oh my gosh. I haven't even gotten to... Oh... I'd love to help you with those instead. As an adolescent, I promise I won't ever commit mass murder unlike a certain someone. The Smith family tree. Okay. And what the hell? Kung-san. Oh yeah, so here's what family tree is supposed to look like. None of that weird clutterwest that you and I did. Oh no, I did. But there's a few notes of my own about some of the women that you might actually care about. Simpson, older sister of the main Smith branch, married into Kong family in 24, widowed and blah blah blah. Taken in by younger Wong brother in 1317. No sons. Also married Smith Sungmin in 310. No sons or daughters of her own. Jungmi, courtesan, purchased by and married Smith Sungmin in 313. No sons. Hana, courtesan, entertained Smith Sungmin. No sons or daughters. Smith Minhee, Smith Sungmin's daughter by the courtesan Jungmi. Promised to Park family, but not formally married. Alright, what's some helpful notes you got here? Okay, those are just notes. Alright. So, that's a big one. Let's... Alright, bring her back. Whew! So, let's talk. If you look into your interface, once you open a document, you can click that little button and show me whatever it is. What subject do you want to know more about? Okay. So I know now that she is the bride. So she married into the Rhea family. Yep. Ah, of course, the last person to hold the titles Captain and Emperor on the ship was Rune Anyhow. Which is the captain who used wife do you wish to know more about? Very well. She wrote a lot, so this is going to be tricky to filter. I guess let's start at the top. I'll let you figure out what's important. Okay. Broken promise. Dear Diary, Last week, I woke up from cryostasis. Before I went in, Father promised me that when I woke up in the future, they'd have medicine again, that I'd finally get better, that I might not see him again, but his descendants would make everything right. But the future broke his promise. I'm scared and confused. I don't get what happened. I think there was a big disaster. I was in stasis or something. Everyone's so uneducated and stupid. Father and Mother were kind of dumb at times, but the guy who woke me up, he might be named Kim, but he's nothing like them. Father was wrong. Nothing's better. The future sucks. Okay, so that's 3-5, 319. Okay, the second month of 319 years, the great fortune for the Kim family. While in official business, the captain and Emperor confided in me that he wished that I had a daughter of marriage age to give him, to take him as the second one. Oh. Yikes. His first wife had been unable to provide a son and was becoming increasingly concerned that she never would. At the start of the month, I had no daughter in my family to give. My only son, Young Suk, was still without child. Yet it was a perfect opportunity. This may sound fantastical, but I swear it's true. Passed on through the generations in the main branch of the Kim family is a giant egg of translucent luster, such that one can see the form of a sleeping child inside. She is known as the Pale Bride for the inscription on the egg, and she is entrusted in our family to be awakened during a time of great prosperity. Yet, as any man knows, prosperity is seized, not waited on. A daughter to provide the emperor with, a son would elevate the family above other noble houses once and for all. Considering this, I promised the emperor that I did have a daughter who would soon be of marriage to present him. I then smashed the egg such that the Pale Bride passed through the Kim family for years. Could be adopted as my own daughter. She is a strange child, but will make a fine wife for the emperor. What good fortune this means. Oh, that bastard. Oh, my voice is calming. Thank you, Wolfhound55. Good to see you listening in on the stream. How are you doing tonight, bud? So, she was... Oh, yeah, let's see what she thinks about this one. I'm afraid nearly everything the man wrote was of very little value. It reads like that. Boring, stiff, obnoxiously patriarchal. Are you sure you really want more from Kim Sung-soo? Yeah. If you insist, very well. I've added the other relevant entries for him. I'll caution you from taking him seriously, though. Okay. Nice, nice. Yep, I'm just playing this. It is a adventure game where you're sent to kind of check out the remains of the ship. And there are 2 AI on the ship that tell a story of, you know, patriarchal goodness of a Korean spaceship colony. Pretty interesting. I played it like years back when it first came out, so I've forgotten a lot about it. I think I sequence work a little bit by guessing the password to the ship, but, you know, oh well. We'll still keep it going here. So, let's read this entry. Insufferable child. Young Seok's wife. Dearest mother, do you recall how in my last letter I mentioned the Pale Bride being brought into the household? I take back any kind words I might have said about her. That awful child is nothing but the most insufferable person I've never met. I just thought I would have a little more time of peace with Young Suk's adopted mother visiting her own family. I have been giving full responsibility over that miserable child. What happened to my promised domestic bliss? She is in trouble so often, one would think she were a boy. She acts like one too. I suppose it can't be helped. She says she lived her first 12 years in the past, and I can see it. She certainly acts as though she's from a less civilized time. Just last night, she made a huge scene at dinner time. She kept trying to rudely leave the table in front of Young Suk's and father-in-law, loudly insisting that she was too sick to eat. She has said this before, too. I was worried, so I had a doctor examine her. She is, of course, in perfect health. When I asked why she thought otherwise, she started talking about how pale and thin she was. She's not truly unhealthy. All she was doing was rub it in that she is far more delicate and beautiful than I. What a cruel little child. Why must she be so spiteful to me? Oh, this is not good. They awoke her from cryostasis, are about to force her to marry into this other family, and she obviously has the disease. So she was put into stasis by her parents to be sent into space and be reawoken at a time where I guess their family and humanity is more prosperous and I guess could cure her. But she's been awoken early. This is 5 year. Okay, this is a couple years down the line. The bride's adolescence. The pale bride grew to be a fine, demure young wife, but she was not always this way. Near the end of year 319, she had a temper unruly enough to be mistaken for a boy's. Do not look upon her wild days with disapproval. She is from another, less civilized time. Rather look upon her eventual submission as a testament to her good character and filiality. She was able to overcome such a wild nature for the sake of the Kim family and the sake of her husband. One evening, she stormed into the common room while I was discussing business matters with a deputy. "We need to talk," she loudly demanded. When I indicated I was busy, that only caused her to become even louder. "Right now!" Embarrassed, I was forced to excuse him to address the child. "Is this a joke? Are you serious? You've made wedding plans." She shrieked at me. "Please calm yourself," I told her, and sat her down. After admonishing her for her rude interruption, I tried to do what I would to calm her myself. It seemed like she had a rather bizarre set of expectations, that she wouldn't marry until she was many years after growing into a woman, that she would elope with any love-struck man who came her way with no regard for her own chastity, that she would have no assistance or protection in finding a suitable husband. Simply put, her ideas were as bizarre as they were dangerous, and for this she had gotten angry at the news. Rather than the excitement that one would expect from a girl who found out that she would be getting a husband, not even the sensual news that it would be to the emperor of all people would calm her. Yeah, I don't know, that wouldn't really help. I wouldn't be happy about that. Let's see, Block 9. Peace out. The new official. On the 13th day, Young Seok finally passed the civil service examination. Otherwise, the final month of the 318th year was without event. Well, I suppose I can give you more about Young Seok. I don't know. I don't think you'll really find him interesting, but here you can see for yourself. Listen, don't tell me what you think I'll find interesting. I still need to get to the whole murder here. So it didn't happen in 321. New happiness. Dearest mother, finally I believe Young Seok has grown comfortable with me. All it took was some time for me to earn his trust. Learning how to read by watching over my husband's soldier isn't how I envisioned spending my first year of marriage. I can't complain about anything that makes me spend so much time with him, though. We've talked and decided we won't try for a son right now. Right away. Right now, he's just not ready for it. That aside, things are good. If this is what married life is like, I think I can be happy with this. We're getting along well and I like him. Perfect. It's not quite what I was led to expect, but it's still good. Domestic bliss indeed. Last week, Young Seok was reading over some papers for a dispute that Magistrate Park was deciding on. You wouldn't understand the details, but it was essentially an argument between a farmer and his lord over a sum of money after a particularly poor harvest. I think I'll tell the magistrate that the farmer is right. His claim is fair, he told me. Might I take a look? I asked. Bemused, he handed the papers to me. It took a good while of studying, just to be sure after all. I wouldn't want to contradict my husband if he was right, but the farmer's numbers didn't seem to add up. I pointed this out to him. He not only listened patiently, but had me explain. Then you believe the farmer is trying to cheat his lord? He asked. I did. That's what I'll report then. The next day he told me that the magistrate agreed, and ever since then he has started to rely on my opinion when it comes to anything involving math. Oh. What do you think about this one? To be totally honest with you, I don't really know what she's talking about here, at all. The math thing wasn't really considered very odd at the time. That's woman's work. It's just natural. Maybe it's a little weird that she's helping with external matters, but, well, it's not that weird. The part about learning to read isn't that amazing either. It might have been officially frowned upon, but learning to read by looking over a brother or husband's shoulder is really, really common. She's making a big deal out of nothing. Well, I guess that's 15-year-old women for you. Wow, that's pretty cold. I mean... Alright. Let's check my family tree. Let me important documents again. Alright, get back in there. So... the Kim family tree. Pale Bride. I married Jungsu's son. So, and that was... So everybody seemed to die in 322. That's the last date here. Alright. Alright, let's check out Block 9. Again. New friendship. While it's true that I might be, as my wife suggests, alarmingly serious, it's hard to argue with enjoying a nice meal out if it means cultivating Magistrate Park's trust even more. Just having the invitation alone's a pretty good sign. I assumed we'd be going to his house after finishing the day's affairs, but instead he led the other way. Oh, you do not want to visit there. My son has a newborn child who is very, very unconducive to entertaining guests, I'm afraid, he said with a laugh. Surely you understand. Instead, we headed to the plaza. Outside of the occasional Udir's festival, when I was a child, I had never actually been there before. I'd never had much of an eye for details at the time, so I was surprised to see now just how richly decorated everything was. For what was essentially a giant market, beautiful floral arrangements adorned every stall, wall, and partition, and rather than the commotion of a crowd, all I could hear was the sound of peaceful music. It was still, of course, a market. There were no merchants loudly hawking wares, and some of the prices on the signs I saw would make the emperor blush. In that atmosphere, we ate together at a public house that defied my expectations. The food was both plentiful and far better than anything I'd ever had in either of my houses. If this doesn't sound indulgent, it absolutely is, and I definitely don't plan on telling anyone the details like this. The only thing I plan to repeat from this evening is what the magistrate confided in me, that when he is moved from his position, he'd like to recommend me to fill his place. I'd be too young for the position, but it'd be a great stepping stone to the one I'm dreaming of. I remain calm since I'm good at that, but it's best news I've ever heard in my life. Plaza sounds like a really interesting place, doesn't it? I mean, I wouldn't really know personally. But as I understand, it's a really big place for celebrating festivals. It's really surprising to see. Oop. I think proper gentlemen were supposed to be more honest, though, so they wouldn't really want to associate with that sort of thing too openly. Okay. Let me get this Discord real quick. Alright, new magistrate. Dearest mother, if you haven't already heard the good news, my husband has been appointed by the emperor to the position of magistrate. He's taken over the office from Magistrate Park starting today, which is just tremendous for a man his age. I have no doubt that he was perfectly humble when he got the news, since he certainly has been while talking about it in front of father-in-law. In private, though, it's another story. Earlier, the family held a small feast to celebrate the news. He had that same attitude then, too, but afterwards, when everyone else had gone to bed, we stayed up to sit together drinking wine. It was a whole lot more somber. He wasn't modest, but it wasn't boastful either. He was just outright insecure. He might not say it in front of you, but you know what he said to me as I poured him more wine? He takes all the credit for my promotion. According to him, it's all because of the Emperor's perfect new bride, which is, of course, all because of him. I said quietly. I don't want to take credit for her. I wasn't the one who got her to shut up. That was all him. I don't like discussing it, and please, Mother, don't ever ask me why. Doesn't matter, he said. That's not why I got promoted. I got promoted because now High Magistrate Park, and I managed to make Sniff look so bad, he had to get shuffled off. It's exposing the whoring and thuggery that did it, not the damn pale bride, he said with annoyance. Well, that's how he is. You know, he'll never give you credit for anything, I said, he replied. I know. I just wish he'd acknowledge it. I just don't know how he can be so stupid as to not be proud of me, you know? I know, I said, but let's not focus on that right now. I think we should focus on the good right now. How about we toast to your success instead? Here's to the new magistrate Kim. I raised my glass and drank. He betrayed the faintest of smiles, but he didn't share my toast and instead put down his glass. For a moment I was worried, but then he used that hand to grab my chin instead and for the first time ever kissed me on the mouth. Far sweeter than any wine, he said to me. I wasn't sure if he meant the kiss or the success, but I agreed either way. It always comes back to the pale bride, doesn't it? I don't think Kim Jong-un ever thought very much of his adopted son. Or at least neither he nor his wife thought so. Wanna know why I think so? I think they're both really dumb. I mean, it's not like she ever did anything. It's not her fault. She just happened to be there and was married as a political gesture. What kind of person projects their insecurities onto someone who only ever just got pushed around? Sorry, I guess I'm getting a little bit off track. It's not really helpful, is it? Anyways, getting back on track here. What is this? Hey, I just want to say thanks for paying attention to me. It's like I was saying earlier, I just haven't had anyone to talk to in so long. The last time there was anyone around on a ship was the year 322. By my count, it's now 944. I mean, do you have any idea how long that is? It wasn't really so bad at first. It was nice to not have to worry about anyone telling me what to do. I could just occupy myself, go through the old logs. But well, I read quickly. After the first few years, it really started to sink in the loneliness. Eventually, you sort of get used to it. It feels awful. You never like it, but you get used to it, in ways that sort of scare you. There was a whole 100 years that went by where I didn't have a single thought, not one. I just sat there idle. I didn't even notice. I've been feeling particularly, what's the word? Sleepy? I wanted to say, but that's not right. I guess maybe that doesn't translate. Anyways, the point is, I was in a lazy mood and decided to call my clock subroutine. And it turned out, it had been 3 trillion milliseconds since the last time I'd called it. Scary. Geez, I'm rambling, sorry. As you can understand, my perception time is all off. Sorry, I'll shut up. But my point is, I'm really happy to have someone out there. Alright, so I've learned a little bit more. I can see why she might have gone on a murderous rampage, but let's see what Mute has to say about these things. Okay, so what is it you want to know about? Why don't you show me something? Yeah. And I should have the same logs as soon as. Alright, how do you feel about the broken promise? So, like, you've talked to her a fair bit, right? What do you think of... I don't hate her. Stand her? Did she tell you about the whole mass murder thing, or did she continue to leave it out? Sure he hasn't yet? No, of course not. I'm sure even that awful bitch is ashamed of what she did. Or maybe she just wanted to impress you. I don't think most men are turned on by that kind of lunacy, so I can see why she'd hide that. It's probably better if you don't hear it from me, though. I don't think you'd even believe it. Better to ask her yourself. So what I'm going to do is give you an entire blog that's full of nothing but questions for her. It might be a little hard to get the whole story out of her, but if you fake sympathy, she'll probably actually believe you. So there you are. A few questions to give her, drag the truth out of her, then tell me how crazy you think she is. Oh, gosh. Okay. Let's check this block out. Mutes questions. Oh my. That's 9 questions? Okay, let's read them. How are you doing? Look, the questions over her, they're perfectly straightforward. I don't think any need explanation. Take them to her yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Better if you hear it straight from their crazy bitch's mouth yourself. How do you feel about me? Why don't you treat me with a little more respect? What do you really look like? How old are you? How do you feel about me? Why couldn't you just settle for a happy marriage? Do you ever have any friends? Ooh. Why did you kill all those people? Alright, well... let's go do that. I'm a little... This is some very accusatory questions, but we'll check it out. Okay. Enable AI. Yana. I don't like how I really do not like how the screen is flickering. How are you doing? What is this? You talk to mute? I don't know what she told you, but you really shouldn't listen to her. All she ever did was gossip. I'm certain she hasn't changed a bit since back then. Please don't trust her. She just spins everything to make everyone look bad, no matter what. Please promise. Oh. I can't. I guess she told you all who I wasn't trying to lie. I would have explained eventually. Oh, fine. Be as bad as her for all I care. It's not like I care about your opinion or anything. Go on, show me one of her awful questions. Oh. Right. Well, remember when I said that I'd never interrupt you unless there was something really, really wrong? Well, that's annoying, and I don't want to bother you, but... Look, I don't want to scare you here. It's your fault. But... we have a really big problem. I'm sure you'd notice the static online. Yes, this one was causing it, so I checked, and it's... Well, look, don't panic here, please. But it's a, well, reactor meltdown in progress. I'm really sorry. We've been running in low power mode for so long, and that was fine, but when you established communications, everything started back up again. Which should have been fine, except that it's been centuries since the last maintenance job was done, and I'm not really sure what's going on yet. I'm not going to lie to you, this is bad. This is really, really bad. I don't know if you're really aware of how this works, but we're running on nuclear fission, and it looks like we've got about 20 minutes for a total meltdown. It's already running really, really hot right now. Wish I'd noticed sooner. So sorry. Oh, shit. Let me put it this way. The ship is waiting. Can you make it out of range in 20 minutes? Probably. Please don't try just yet. I can't shut it down. A human has to do it. If you can, don't run away, mate. Okay. You're really scared from it. Alright, let's try this. I'm sorry I misjudged you. That's terrible. I should have known I could count on you when it got important. Now let me explain what you have to do. Well, I need from you to drop the terminal and disable the nuclear reactor. Everything will work properly. It should be simple. I mean, I'm sure it won't be. This is a really old ship. Clearly and first I have to at least try. Alright. Okay, so... reactor. Reactor disable. Backup power supply is active. No backup power supply is active. Okay, so I need another PSS. Okay, valve extra switch battery enable saber. Power supply system disabled. Only use primary battery when enabled. Primary battery secondary battery. Okay, so switch battery. So PSS switch battery. Alright. Okay. Fuck. Power use is at 99%. Okay. PSS. Alright, what are my other options here? Power control. Multiple systems being enabled and same way. So power control enable. Well, disable. Okay. Control list all the systems. Alright. So I can do multiple systems enabled. Okay, so power, control, disable. Currently disabled subsystems life support. Oh, well that's probably how everybody died. Alright, so we need to disable waste. We can disable sensors. We can disable rail. We can disable, don't disable the main computer. That's cool. Gravity, since nobody's on the ship. We can disable docking. We can disable core. 3 core, 4 core, 5 core. Alright, cool. Okay. So, control list again. Okay, we're at 29%. Cool. It's not that bad. Yeah. Power. Control. Communication. Ah, fuck. External radio. I feel like that's important for what I'm doing right now, so I can't do that. Power control. Disable. Bulkheads. Core 6. So that gives me 26. Oh, shit. No. Alright, that's the fucking pause here. So I can disable fucking... $23. Ah, shit. Alright. Let's see if we can... Unable to initialize, and switching error occurred. Oh my gosh. Okay. So she's definitely trying to get killed here. Okay. So wait, let me add this up. Currently at 23%. 5, 5, 10, 6, 7, 13, 23. Okay, that adds up correctly. Fuck it. Yeah. Power control. That's gonna kill my connection. Anything will kill my connection. We're gonna disable core 2 for now. All data will degrade within 24 hours or less. So, I solved that. I don't know how I'm going to... What's the better one? Alright. Oh. Did I soft lock myself here? Alright. Okay. Oh my god. We're still not done here? Alright. Okay. So copy core 1. Core 2. Alright. So we save her there. Power control. 18%. Fuck. Actually. Alright. Alright. emergency life port disabled. Okay, okay. I'm panicking here. I'm fucking panicking. What'd she say? Yeah. Alright, so enable bulkheads, enable life support, and disable bulkhead shields. How do I enable bulkhead seals? Okay. We did it. Did it, you did it. The nuclear reactor is now both completely deactivated at a safe temperature. We're safe. I was pretty scared there for a moment. I mean, it's not that I didn't think you could, it's just that. My time, we were using generation chips, and that was incredible state of the art. That combined with the fact that you say there are no colonies, I can't even wrap my mind around that. I can't even imagine. So as a normal, do you do all this time, go strange adventures by yourself in deep space? Alright. So, let's check. So, Mute's in an active surge right now. That's cool. She's still alright. We did not leave her to die, thankfully. Alright. Whew. That was far too stressful. Can this not? So, actually, let's go ahead and finish asking our questions, yeah. Nope, no, I didn't mean to click that. Do not mind me. Override terminal. Alright. So, what can I do for you? Yeah, let's finish asking Mute's questions. It's kind of a shame that happened while we were and all that. You're anxious. I'm glad I have someone to talk to. Don't get me wrong. I'm really sure how to read you. You keep swinging different directions. Can't you just trust me? I'm not unhappy, but I'd feel a lot better if you could do that. If you say you're sorry about being so stressful, I understand. Appreciate that. Sam, I just had a thought. It's a little bit silly to keep up this whole pretense about the schoolgirl librarian look, don't you think? Yeah, well, I was just thinking, I've always been into cosplay. Bex designed a bunch of our outfits, too. Now I'm saying this, I guess it's a little bit awkward, but would you like to see? Sure, why not? Use the change outfit command to her. Dress me up if you want. Geez, I'm sorry, I'm making this really awkward. It's just I have a couple that I think are really cute and you might want to see them. Please don't read into anything. It's not like I'm trying to please you just because I just might think it's fun, that's all. Anyways, you don't have to if you don't want to, but change outfit if you're really interested. Sorry, it's really a weird thing to ask now that I think about it. Geez, what am I saying? I just thought maybe you might be interested in that. Well, you know, I know it's stalling, but alright. Yes. Oh, yeah. Knew the Dame was trouble the moment they connected to my ship. Couldn't say a word, left all the questions to me. Something like that. So you're interested in cosplay after all? See? There's detective work on my part. But really now, we're both matched, don't we? I mean, obviously you're some sort of investigator, so I think this goes especially well. What do you think? Actually, this one's based off a movie I saw as a child. I guess the name doesn't really matter, since it's countless hundreds of years old and all. Anyways, this is my favorite. I don't really normally like mysteries, but the love story that was in felt so wonderful. Well, that, and it had a really cute guy for a hero. Anyways, he dressed like this, and it looked really great. Sidekick, huh? I like that a lot. Oh, look, you really don't mind when a girl dresses her ex more like a guy then? I don't mind. Well, I think it's a really good look, so I'm glad. I don't mind either. You know, the part that's really sort of funny, I actually have no idea how like this is supposed to feel. Not like emotionally, I mean literally. I have no idea what suits feel like. I've never worn them in my life. Well, the chance for that has long disappeared. Anyway, I should stop babbling. I'm just really excited, that's all. I suppose I should really let you get back to it. Lead on, investigator, and your trusty sidekick will help as best she can. Alright. And we get back to these questions. She's been trying to stall me out here, dressing up and everything. What? Jeez, my word. What are you talking about? When have I never treated you with respect? I don't know what's wrong with that awful AI, and I definitely don't know what's wrong with you. Why would you even say something like that? Jeez. Well, about a few thousand lines of assembly code and a few gigabytes of memories, I suppose, sitting on a hard drive somewhere. I don't really know what that looks like. Oh, I guess you don't actually meant before I died, did you? I guess you actually meant before I died, didn't you? Well, I was 13 years old when I woke up and 16 when I died. So, I looked younger, but I wasn't really all that different, just shorter, and I guess, smaller in other places, too. Everyone's always did say I was pretty, though, even when I was really young, so I guess, picture a shorter version of myself without glasses in my hair and some dumb braid or another in a handbook. That's pretty much it. I really never got to dress up the way I wanted to. This is the first time I've been able to wear my school uniform since I was 13, before I got put in stasis. How silly is that, being excited about wearing a uniform? And I mean, you know how much I was into cosplay? I never really had a chance for that when I was alive. So being able to dress up as something I totally unknown as a suit, I actually think that's exciting. Oh yeah, where are you staying? Jesus. Why'd you even say something so stupid? How old are you? It's not the one question you're never supposed to ask a woman. Geez, so rude. Well, I was born in the year 2415. Then I was put in stasis for I don't know how long. Then I lived for another 3 years and died about 622 years ago at the age of 16. So, you tell me how old I am. I don't know. Really, I don't think it really matters at this point, does it? I mean, that's fair. How do you feel about me? Oh, of course that'd be one of her questions. I don't, well, let me put it this way, I suppose, did she have anything nice to say about me? Yeah? Oh, really? Maybe I was wrong about her then. Really, I don't know much about her other than what I've read in other people's logs. She never wanted to talk to me, ever. I mean, she wasn't above talking about me, but no, never anything to me. That's all I know about her. She's a gossip. I don't even want to speak to her now. Well, she's on the same core as you, technically, so I don't know. Why couldn't you just settle for a happy marriage? It's not like I thought as a child I would never marry. You tell me though, could you marry someone you only ever talked to once? Well, then maybe you shouldn't be judging me for it. It's not like it's my fault. We both read the same logs. I wasn't the only person on the ship to be crushed by a horrible marriage. The two older Kim sisters, you should read their letters here. I'll show you. They had it just as bad. It's a really unfair question to ask. Okay. Oh yeah, we're still not done yet. Did you ever have any friends? After waking up from stasis, I only ever had one single friend. Oh, two. I meant, now that you're here. Anyways, before it was just her. The queen, my husband's wife. Ryujaiwa. Yeah. I wrote about her a lot in my diary. I'll just show you. It's probably better if you read it for yourself. These are from right after I got married. Why did you kill all those people? Look, there's something you need to understand first. After waking up from stasis, I only had one single friend. Oh, two. I meant now you're here. Anyways, before it was just her, the queen. I wrote about her a lot. Alright. Well, she didn't say she didn't say she didn't murder everybody, so yeah. Dear Sunhei, I wish we'd had more of a chance to talk before I left. I'm sorry it was so sudden, not my choice, please believe me. It's really weird living in someone else's house, even just like the place itself, you know. The walls of the house are way smaller. There aren't even separate women's quarters. It's pretty much just a paper divider separating us from the men most of the time. You can see and hear everything. It's so very weird. Also, there's a lot more to do around the house. If you thought mom was strict, wow, mother-in-law makes her seem positively gentle in comparison. I know, I'll just have to get used to it, but she kinda scares me. Plus, we don't have any servants around here at all. So I have to handle pretty much all the chores. I'll try to write to you regularly though, so long as you can find the time. Mother-in-law keeps me pretty busy during the day with housework, and my husband keeps me pretty busy during the night with other work. It's pretty much chores all day, every day. But I'll try to sneak in another letter stream, alright? With love from your older sister, Yunmi. Dear Yunmi, I wish you could have found the time sooner, but if you say you're busy, fine, I believe you. Things aren't very interesting at home. Mom's been really busy lately. I think she's in a big hurry to get me married. I wish she wasn't. How come you don't have to interview until you... How come you didn't have to do interviews until you were 14? Lucky? One of them seems nice, though. I think the man's name was O. I talked to his mother about you for a little bit. Don't remember what brought it up, but I told her about the dolls you left me. The second interview we did, she brought me one of hers from when she was my age, and said I could keep it. Interviews suck, but I think I'd be fine with marrying her son. I mean, if I really have to. She sounds better than your stupid mother-in-law. Love, Sunyi. I'm gonna... Things fell apart between them with time, though. Here, see it for yourself. just give me like more of them in this block? Oh, that's a lot more. Alright. Thanks for being able to come to my wedding. Even if it was just for a day, don't worry about what Mom said about you not having kids yet. You shouldn't take that personally. I was really happy to see you again since I wasn't sure if I ever would. I love you, big sister. I'm sorry for bothering you with this so soon after we spoke, but I really need you to answer something for me. I don't have anyone else to ask. I'm really worried about something. It's really embarrassing, but I just have to know. The night I moved in, my husband and I slept together. I'm not ignorant about how that's supposed to work. I know why. Afterwards, my husband said that everything was fine and I shouldn't worry, but it really hurt a lot. I was crying the whole time, and he injured me so much there was blood everywhere. I know I'm not supposed to question him, but that's not normal, right? Should I insist on seeing a doctor? He seemed nice besides that, so I just don't understand. What should I do, big sister? Love, Soon-hee. No. You didn't need to see a doctor. I'm sorry to be the bringer of bad news, little sister, but I'm afraid that your husband's right. That really is normal. Don't worry about freaking out either. You're a lot younger than when I was when I got married, so it's probably even worse for you. I'm so sorry. What's my family tree looking like? It gets to leave easier the first time. It's still uncomfortable. Though you just have to endure it. That never changes. I'm sorry, don't worry about the crying either. Men actually find that to be attractive, so just keep doing it. It'll probably make them happy if you're lucky. Though you'll get pregnant quickly and won't have to worry about any of that for months. That aside though, how have you been? How's your new family? I haven't heard much about them. I kept trying to ask Mom to tell me about your husband, but all I got was that lecture about how I was nearly 3 years old when she'd married for as long as I had. As if I'm not trying. So do tell me more about him and his family, please, Soon-hee. I'd love to know. With love from your older sister, Young-mi. Seriously, I said in my last letter that I was pregnant, and thanks for the Wait. Wait, oh shit. So the letter is censored. Since that was 7/6, 7/17. So wow. Okay. That's not a good oh. I said in my last letter I was pregnant, and thanks for the congratulations, but I hope you didn't rush to tell Mom. Yeah, that's... Okay, well actually that's kind of a gap, so maybe that wasn't. Okay. Although, yeah, it didn't take that long to deliver it. I hope you're doing better, little sister. Your child is due any day, right? Keep saying daring me. I wish I could have written you sooner, but I'm afraid I haven't had the time. What with having a real pregnancy and all to worry about? My mother-in-law insists that I take the time to write to my family, though, so I just finished a letter to Mom first. Sorry about your false alarm. I did tell Mom, and she wasn't really happy to hear it. I'm sure you're not really surprised by that, though. The good news, I gave birth 2 weeks ago. Her name is Ji, and she is the cutest little child you'll ever see. She reminds me a lot of our older brother, although she has her father's eyes. Really, I wish you could meet her. I just know you'll think she's absolutely adorable. So I'm a mother now. I still can't think of myself that way. It's so weird. Right now, she's just so small. She can't even lift her head. But every time I look at her eyes, I wonder how I'm going to be able to raise her. Mother-in-law says I shouldn't worry. It'll come naturally, and she'll be there to help. I guess that's true. I definitely don't know what I'd do without her. At the very least, I sure wouldn't ever get any sleep. It's just scary, you know? Wasn't it just yesterday that we were playing together in our father's house? Now it's been nearly 16 years since I was born. I'm a wife and a mother. How did we get so old? I mean, it could be worse. I know that's a good age for both of those things, and that's really disappointing if you're older and haven't managed that. I have it good, it's just odd to think about it. But I'm not complaining, and oh, when you're a mother, you'll understand why, big sis. Sure, I just love her so much, she means everything to me. Anyways, I'll stop rambling. I think Jian is crying to be fed now, and mother-in-law can't help with that, so I'll leave it there. Take care, sister. Love, Soon-hee. Disney. Well, maybe you could use a little more caution in what you sent to Mom, because it's not like you don't know how annoyed she can get. Especially, I mean, there's a reason you're the only one she actually talks to. I'm trying, you know, but I can only do so much. Congratulations on your daughter. I'm really excited to hear about that. Yeah, it's a shame that I can't see her. She sounds wonderful. I don't really have much else to say. I just wanted to acknowledge your letter. Things haven't been really worth talking about. My mother-in-law is still a crazy tyrant, and my husband and I are still trying to have a son. Nothing new, nothing worth mentioning. I'm glad things are going much better for you. What regards, Yunmi. Dear Yunmi, how long's it been since we've last wrote to each other? It feels like it's been forever. I wish you wouldn't be such a stranger. I have a 2-year-old son now. His name is Taehyun, and he takes after his father in a lot of ways. He's just started to learn to talk now, much earlier than Jian did. No surprise, but Jian is a real sweetheart. She's what reminds me of you. The two of them had fought, so I was scolding her. I told her that I was disappointed, that I expected better from her as an older sister. I gave her a whole feel your responsibility speech, you know, the one that Mom always used to give. It's funny, I hated that so much as a kid. I promised myself I'd never guilt my own children that way. Now I just think to myself, well, it worked, didn't it? Anyways, she asked me what it meant to be an older sister. I had trouble with that one. Finally, I said, it means you should be a good role model. Teach your little brother what it means to be responsible by example. Show him. That was a good enough answer for her, but I thought about it. It's not a good enough answer for me. Not at all. It's you that I was thinking of, and you know, I turned out okay. I wish I could take back what I said and tell Jian what I'm going to tell you. You don't have to be perfect. You're not a good role model, but that's fine. I love you anyway, sister. I always will. Even if everyone's disappointing you, even if you're not really family anymore, as far as I'm concerned, you're still my big sister. You don't have to be perfect. I love you, period. Please write back, sister. Even if you don't have good news to report, I just want to hear how you are. Love, Seung-hee. Gosh. There's one more that Yunmi never sent. I'm going to warn you now, it's really intense. Are you sure you want to read it? Oh, God. Dear Shunhee, you know what? Fine, I'll tell you the truth. The false alarm, it wasn't a false alarm. I didn't lie about the bleeding. That was true. But I really was pregnant at the time. More than I let on in my letter. As in morning sickness, giant belly. You could see it. I was really pregnant and bleeding. My husband brought in the doctor immediately, who asked me all sorts of questions about everything. I was fine, perfect health, no injuries, I told him. So he pulled out his instruments and started listening for my son's heartbeat. And listened, and listened, and listened. It felt like forever that he kept trying. I couldn't understand why he couldn't find something. I knew it just had to be there. The obvious never occurred to me. He had to explain it. I'm sorry, the doctor said. There's no heartbeat. The fetus is dead. He couldn't do anything about it. It took a week for the actual miscarriage to happen. It was the worst week of my life. It was hellish. You've had 2 children, I'm sure you know. That wonderful feeling when you get to realize you're a child. That you know that you're going to have a baby, and you can feel him inside you and imagine what he's going to look like and what he'll grow up to be. And that right now, he's depending on you more than ever to keep him safe. You know the feeling, I'm sure. Just the day before, I'd been so happy I was going to finally have a child. After I found out, I could still feel him, dead but still inside me, sloshing around. The day before, I thought I was filled with a beautiful life, but I was actually filled with death. I'd have no son, while I was carrying was once just a corpse weighing me down. I thought it'd feel better once I expelled it, but then I saw it, this awful bloody mess that should have been a son. It was awful, so awful. After I saw it, my husband had to force me to wash myself, because all I wanted to do was crawl into bed and die. I didn't get out of bed a whole month after that, save for a brief hour, so I could write to you and tell you that I wasn't pregnant. Eventually I recovered. I realized it wasn't my fault. Eventually we started trying again, and after all, what you, mom and mother-in-law have been implying is right. I'd be a lousy wife if, after 8 years of marriage, I still hadn't had a child, so we tried and eventually did get pregnant. Then it happened again. That was half a year ago. You're right, I'm not perfect. I'm as broken as it gets. The most important thing in the world for a woman to do, and I can't. You've been pregnant twice, and you now have 2 wonderful children that you love. I've been pregnant twice, and all that's happened is I've killed them both. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why. The doctor says I don't do anything wrong, but clearly I can't bring life into this world. The only thing I can bring is death, little sister. Today I overheard my husband talking to my mother-in-law about considering taking on a second wife to actually give him a child. He sounded really disappointed in me. I don't know what to do. Kill myself, maybe, since killing seems to be all I can do. It'd be better for everyone if it'd be easier on my husband, and you wouldn't have to worry about me being a disappointment. At least it's the only thing I can think of. What can I possibly do? You and me. even if I knew her. I didn't even know either existed when I was alive. I mean, sure, the mother mentioned that she had daughters before in a sort of abstract way. She never told me as much as their names, let alone anything. Anyways, none of my original point. My point was, now you see what I mean? When Mute talks about half of marriage, that's what she's talking about. It's not as if I'm the only woman to have a horrible marriage. It wasn't my fault. That's what happens. That's normal. That was a lot. That was definitely a lot. So, Yumi, Sumi, and Pale Bride. And she married into the family. Oh no. I guess it's been forever since I cared enough to write anything down. I just haven't seen much point. Since my last entry, I got married, moved into the palace, and lost my virginity. Apparently for a girl my age, none of these things are actually really all that weird. The queen finally insisted on talking to me the night after I first slept with Deer's husband. I've been expecting it. My sister warned me that she'd probably be jealous, and I just had to endure it. She outranks me. I would simply have to cut toe to her if I need be. I hadn't had to yet, though. We'd had teen together. She was at least started by acting friendly. I'm sure sister is right. I'll get the brunt of her anger soon enough, but today she was friendly. How are you holding up, she asked me after we finished with tea. I shrugged. Do trust me. I know how hard it can be for a newlywed. I've been through it myself, but I was not at least older. You probably missed your family, do you not? That's what you'd be expected for any good girl. So I nodded. It gets easier with time. I had no response. I'm sorry. Am I bothering you? You can leave if you wish. I simply thought you might like some company. I wasn't sure how to respond to that either. I just clasped my hands and shook my head. I just wanted to be sure, she said. There was a long pause that followed. Finally, she asked, how was last night? It surprised me that she was willing to bring up the subject, figuring it was a segue to her being vindictive towards me for sleeping with her husband. I shrugged as she continued. I just know he can be rough. Nobody ever talked about those duties with me. She smiled, and I felt exactly as I dropped my guard. I had no idea what to expect my first time. Do believe me, I'm not jealous. That's nothing to be jealous of, but do tell me how it was. It made me think back on last night. Honestly, it's the best night I ever had since waking up in the future. Everyone, my mother, my sister, and now my queen, warned me that it'd be bad. It would be a duty and nothing more. But I honestly did love it. I would have let him keep me up all night if he had the energy for it. I guess while I was thinking about it, I let out a slight smile. I thought myself that naps where she noticed, oh, did you enjoy it then? She asked my mom. I jumped. Please be at ease. That is perfectly alright too, so long as you know it's just for him. There's absolutely no shame in that. There is none. I expected her to jump into something passive-aggressive from that, but she didn't. All she did was change the subject and said that she really was worried about me. Maybe she isn't too bad. Has one there. She wrote herself and her husband, and you can see for yourself she's a lot stronger than I ever was. So you can see for yourself why I admired her. And well, just read them, alright? Dear Diary. Attending to my husband has been easier than I was afraid it'd be. Yes, there's days when it requires more strength than usual to keep going, but I'm still getting increasingly more sick. Nothing will change that, but it's not so bad, really. All I have to do is dote on him and try to anticipate his desires, and he's happy with me. No abuse or anything. Sure, it's not as if I like him. He's an ugly 40-year-old man who only cares about politics and never tells me anything. Love? Well, that's certainly no concern. I don't know where I got the impression that it was something that could happen in a marriage. I thought it was something from the past. But, well, I was young before I got put into stasis. It must have been a mistake of childhood. But so long as I do as I'm told, I'm not mistreated, like I was by my sister. And sleeping with him feels good, really. I really hope I didn't get pregnant soon. I don't want that to stop. Doing that is really the only thing that makes me actually happy these days. Well, that and Jai was talks with me. She's nice, she keeps me company when I stay up to wait for his return. She fetches servants to take me to bed on those days I'm too feverish to sit up for too long. And she just talks to me as if I'm a friend. I don't really understand why, but I guess she really doesn't hate me after all. Do let me tell you, she said one evening while she had brushed my hair. I always wanted a little sister growing up. That's how I think of you. Does that make sense? I shrugged. It was nice of her, and it felt so relaxing to let her touch my hair like that. She wasn't waiting for a response anyways, by now. She knows better. She just keeps talking kindly to him. Kindly to me. Rouge Eye. Oh my god. So that was 7, 6. The more she lives in my house, the more I'm confused about the mystery as the Pale Bride. No wonder why my husband isn't favoring the Kim family lately. Their daughter seems to be a perfect woman. She's not simply a pale beauty. She's always too shy to speak at all, let alone argue. Seems to hang off his every word, and it turns out is actually so completely humble in her education that she cannot even read. Or rather, she cannot read normal characters. I've observed her writing to herself in perhaps what may be a diary. When I asked what it was, she wouldn't say, but was quickly to hide it. I could not recognize a single character on her screen. However, they seemed simplified compared to regular writing. Perhaps she's invented a writing system for just herself. It is very strange. Did you ever receive those letters I sent to your house before you arrived? I asked her, curious. Seemingly she had. Did you read them? Her response was worried, as if she was scared that I would be angry to find out that she hadn't. I was not, of course. I'm sorry, I assumed that you were able to read. That's when I found out that she wasn't. I offered to read them to her, which she seemed quite enthusiastic. I think I'm likely to leave out some parts, however. I had enough difficulty bringing myself to writing the more embarrassing parts of family history, bringing myself to talk about them, even if I know she would never say anything. It's just far too much. Like all things with her, I cannot tell whether her enthusiasm is sincere or an effort to make me happy. This troubles me. Of course I wasn't illiterate. I could read just fine, just not their stupid Chinese-based characters. I mean, I can understand them now. Everything except for my diary entries is translated from them. It's such a dumb way of writing, though it makes everything come out so stilted compared to proper Korean. Like, it's just showing me that because you're interested in animation, right? You can probably guess which parts she cut out. It's pretty obvious. It's the incest thing that she never told me about at the time. Having read about it now, I don't really blame her. And well, here you can see what I mean for yourself. Get through this block first, and I'll get back into it. Excuse me. Whoa. The more she lives in... Okay. Been through this. Get to the next one. Dear Diary, I've been thinking a lot about how close my death must be now. Lately, I've been getting prone to fainting spells. It probably goes right along with my diminishing appetite. If the doctor from the past is right, I still got over a year left to live. Maybe more. He said it wasn't very likely to get bad enough to kill me until I was at least 18. Although maybe all those years in stasis might have changed that. I don't know. But if he was right, and if I haven't lost track of time, I'm 16 and a half right now, so it's still a while. I've been trying to hide the signs of sickness, even if I could explain. I know full well that nobody would believe me. So far, hiding has been mostly working, although I did have one of my fainting spells when my husband was on top of me. He wasn't angry at me, though. I don't think he cared. I know all I write about these days is sex with my husband and conversations with his wife. The Kim family would be proud, I guess, but those two things are all that's really worthwhile in my life. I have other responsibilities, of course, but they're just not that interesting. And that's about it. Anyways, the Queen has continued to be nice to me. She finally figured out We were having tea together one afternoon. She talked about nothing in particular and asked me one question I shrugged to. I hope you didn't take this a long way, but there's something I'd like to ask you, I nodded. I don't think I've ever heard your voice before, I nodded again. But why don't you ever speak to me? Are you just saving that for Emperor? What? I didn't know how to respond. She was so close to getting it. To bring up the subject, I wasn't able to, yet that wasn't the right question. I shook my head and hoped that her next question would be, then, you and I said, certainly, are you mute? I felt like screaming yes at the top of my lungs. I was so happy that she'd finally figured it out. I smiled. I was about to nod enthusiastically, but suddenly I stopped. What if she thought less of me if I said yes? If she knew that the reason I was so quiet and demure wasn't because of any sort of discipline? Those were the things people liked about me. Would she stop liking me if she knew? What if she told my husband? I was so terrified, I couldn't think of any correct answer. If I said no, I'm sure she wouldn't have asked to hear what my voice sounded like. I'd be forced to disobey, and if I nodded, then she'd know I really wasn't trying hard to be a good wife. And I'm sure she had talked to my husband about it, so he'd know too. But while I stared at her in terror, thinking of how to respond, she sighed and sipped her tea. Don't worry about it, she said. You don't have to answer. Please do forget I even asked. Nobody cared. No one even thought it or cared enough to find out. But she cared. She actually paid attention. She was great. My condition with a pale... Oh my gosh. Essay 611. Okay. Nope. Yep. Arguing the Emperor. My concern over the pale guide's condition has grown lately. She has seemed to grow even quieter, if such a thing is impossible for a mute girl. Well, perhaps saying she is mute is an assumption too far on my part. I tried asking her directly, but she seemed too scared to answer. That simply makes me more suspicious. I should like to know why. I addressed my husband on the matter, telling him that I wish to speak to the woman of the Kim family house, to see if I can find out what's wrong. He shrugged me off, saying, don't. They're valuable subjects. The son is someone I have my eyes on in particular. The politics of the situation are far too delicate for you to be meddling with. I cleared my throat. He might be both my husband and emperor, but I would not let that stop me from being bold. My dear husband, I don't care, I said flatly. I am worried about the girl, and I believe that talking to her mother might shed some light on the matter. The son is of no concern to me. I don't see why it matters. She's the perfect woman. Why are you jealous? He said, rolling his eyes at me, a gesture he's only been able to use on me and his servants. Ever since becoming emperor, nobody had the patience for it. When he was a child, and I don't have it now either. Inho, dearest, do you believe that the well-being of your wife is a little matter, or even an external matter, I asked. He didn't. So, would you say it's a domestic matter, I asked? He reluctantly agreed. Then as a domestic matter, it is the responsibility of the woman in the house, is it not? Please tell me, you're obviously more well-read in the classics than I said, both of us knowing he wasn't. Fine, he said. But just because it's your responsibility does not mean I can't overrule you. He left silent to follow up. I don't have to take this from you. You do know my concerns are valid, though, I replied. If you value my opinion, you will let me speak to the Kim mother. There was a pause, then he raised his hand in annoyance. Very well, do it. It's a woman's business. I don't want a part in it. Regardless, then he shook his head. Why must all our conversations be arguments? I smiled to him and left. He already knows the answer. Oh, Jesus. Dear diary, you always forget how terrible it is to cry yourself to sleep until it happens. It's just the ultimate feeling of helplessness. But what's new there, right? I just miss her, even if she scared me. Oh my god, how come? That was... Okay, so it was about a month away. Jahuwa was the only one who was sympathetic to me. Why does she have to die? Is it my fate? Anything that makes whatever short life I have left bearable must go? Fate just hates me, I've decided. I don't know what killed her. I overheard one of the servants saying it was the doctor claimed it was too much worry causing an excess of wood in the spleen, which he claimed to be common in oversensitive women. I was baffled by the absurdity at the time. I still am now. My only friend is dead and her diagnosis is absolutely insane. What do you even say to something like that? Well, I guess it's not like I need to worry about knowing what to say. In light of that, it doesn't surprise me that nobody ever believed I was sick. With medicine that stupid, why would they? All it does is reinforce how hopeless everything is. I just constantly wonder, why did my father or my own doctor think that people would be smarter in the future, that medicine would be better? My servant has been helping me get through all the funeral stuff. Well, I mean, she's guiding me through all the rites, practically doing them for me. Really, I'm so weak and stunned. I don't even know how I've been getting out of bed. I couldn't describe any of the ceremony. It's all a blur. There's been lots of black dress I suppose that's my only impression, and crying. Lots of crying from me. And then I will give you my last 2 diary entries. They have the whole story. Just please don't judge me when you read them, please. You always forget how terrible it is to cry yourself to sleep until it happens. It's just the ultimate feeling of helplessness. Yep. This sounds so pathetic today. I've tried rewriting this a million times just to make it sound less pathetic for me, and I simply cannot. There were 2 things that made life worthwhile, 2 things that made this last year before I die bearable. The first was Jaiwell's company, being the one person that was friendly to me. The second is sharing a boat with my husband. For the past few months, that's what I've been saving all my energy for. That brief, precious half hour every few nights where I feel fulfilled. If only in the most literal sense. It's the most lovely feeling, and now I'll never feel it again. The 2 things making my last year of life worth living gone forever. The past few nights I've been trying to get the Emperor's attention in that way, pleading silently for his affections with no luck. On the 4th, or was it 5th day, he finally took me aside and said painfully annoyed in his voice, "Enough! Stop that! It is completely inappropriate. You're supposed to be in mourning. Show some damn chastity. Or do you have no respect for my wife and your queen at all?" He snapped. When I looked confused, he just lectured me. When I cried, he sighed, held me tightly, and left the room. I haven't spoken to him since, but later that day, my servant came to my room with good news. I was to go visit my family for a couple of months, while the house is in mourning for Jawa. I couldn't argue, of course, even if I was able. So just like that, I was sent back to hell. I was dressed in the usual veil, so nobody would see my face, as I was escorted back to the Kim house in the middle of the night. Mother and father were there briefly to greet me, and in spite of how I felt about them, I put on my bravest smile and bowed, and nodded politely to their questions about how I was doing. Then they had to go to bed and left, leaving me alone with sister. Young Suk was nowhere to be seen. "Hi," she said. "I never thought you'd end up visiting us so soon." I shrugged. "Well, let's have some tea." It's some tea. It's just us around," she said. I nodded. It seemed like a good enough idea. There was a pause. "Well, go make it," she snapped, removing any doubt that she might treat me with any sort of friendliness. Of course I made the tea. I don't disobey her anymore. "Thanks," she said. "So Young Suk's is out, attending to official business at the moment. But you should avoid him. He's still angry at you because father-in-law finds you more important to the family than his own son. Can you blame him?" I had no idea what she was talking about, and she just continued. "So you really shouldn't talk to him." "Oh, I guess you really can't do that, can you?" "Aha, well, you know what I mean." Yes, I knew exactly what she meant. "I'm surprised you're back so soon, though. Especially now that you don't have to share your husband. Does that mean you're the primary wife now? I don't know. Does it make you queen? Oh, what great fortune you have. Father-in-law must be so proud of you." I stared at her, wishing nothing more than to be able to kill her through sheer force of rage. How could she possibly say something so awful? My only friend was dead, and here she was taunting me. What an awful thing to do. But I couldn't hate her to death, no matter how much I tried, so instead I tried holding back angry tears. To hide my weakness, I couldn't do that either. Dear Diary, I was far too feverish to do any real cooking, so my servant was doing all the work for me that night when father came in. I think he was drunk, or maybe just tired, or stupid. "You know, child," he said to me, "you grew up to be a wonderful daughter." I was shocked to hear him say that, and waved my servant out of the kitchen. I never heard even the slightest indication of that before. For the briefest moment, it even made me happy to hear that, as it surprised me. I actually felt that way. As a kid, I never would have wanted his approval, so why now? He continued to make me wonder. He asked, "Do you remember what you were like as a child?" I nodded, but I wasn't certain I did. "You were so temperamental. You argued all the time. You didn't want to get married when the time came. You just didn't ever know your place, you know." That's right, I didn't. That was back when I thought there was a point to being defined. Why was that, I wondered. That's the part that amazes me now. I tried to think of a reason why I might want to be defiant, why I valued independence, and at first I couldn't even think of anything. I'd forgotten entirely. Don't tell Young Suk, but it really scared me. You were always the family's best hope for prosperity, but that attitude of yours. I thought I'd never manage to disavow you of all those crazy, uncivilized ideas of yours," he said. When I tried to think of what they were, there were times I thought it was a mistake to have hatched you. But you came through, you really did. I know it must have been painful, but I'm proud of you. Then you patted me on the head. You turned out to be a good girl. That's all I wanted to say. It was hard raising you to be a proper woman, but you turned out to be perfect. Thank you, he said. I stared, speechless, and tried to remember what crazy, uncivilized ideas he was talking about. Thinking back to those days, or back before I was frozen, I tried to remember. I dreamed of what adulthood would be like, but they're so unimaginably different from the reality turned out to be that they seemed impossible. Completely impossible. Nothing more than childhood fantasies without a shred of realism to them. I tried to think of what they were, to imagine them. In those dreams, I was strong, independent. I wasn't just a wife in those dreams. I had a job, working as a ship's engineer, following in the footsteps of my father, my real father. I wasn't married in those dreams. I was happy to just go on dates with boys my age. In the ship's plaza, and fall in love before making any commitments, I dreamed of being free. The more I thought about it, the more I was certain. That's what those dreams were about. That's what I wanted. But father, Kim Hung-soo, rather, had made sure to disavow me of those notions. I learned to stop arguing, to stop trying to fight, to stop dreaming of those things. In other words, I learned how to be a proper woman. He was proud of that, proud of destroying my dreams, and now I would die, under the house of that man, silenced, broken, hopeless, and unloved. I was overwhelmed by the strongest feelings I had ever felt in life, the deepest bitterness and the most powerful resentment I could imagine. I looked at the knife now in my hand and wondered, could I kill him? Before I died, could I at least have justice? I tried to lift the knife. My hand twitched, and it was too hard to keep a grip. I was just weak. I'd never been able to do it. He smiled at me, saying, sorry, please, go ahead and keep cooking. I won't distract you anymore. Then just as he was about to go to the door, he added, take care of yourself. At that moment, I vowed I would. I wouldn't worry about myself and all this view would hurt me. I'd take care of myself. I couldn't stab him to death. I was too weak for that. But then I remembered, there are other ways. If I disable life support, I can kill him and all the others too. It'll be quick. It'd be easy. And now that one of them don't deserve it. All I need to do is disable his admin password. It's perfect. Well, that's it. Well, so there you are then. Now you know it's true. I did do what she said I did. I'm not going to lie. I really wish you'd never met her. I wish she'd never said anything to you. I just thought it was nice the way things were with us before. Things started to get so out of... Well, I got to be Cherry for a first time in life since I was a child. Talking about actual romantic things together. Having fun with cosplay. And just, having someone to talk to. Someone who was interesting and shutting me up. But now, well, please, you read my diary. You'd have to know. If not, you'd have to understand, right? Even if you didn't think what I did was wrong. Look, I've never really been dishonest with you. Fine, I lied about being an AI, but I told you the truth. I could have deceived you, but I didn't. Please, you still trust me, right? You don't have to think what I did was acceptable. Please tell me you trust me. Look, that means a lot to me. So much. I mean, I'm sure what I did wasn't right. I mean, I know. I'm sure you don't think it was. I just want you to understand, alright? For someone as good as you've been to me, I want you to at least please understand. You don't have to forgive me, just hear me out. There's a data block that contains all the logs that matter. My family encrypted it because, well, it should be obvious why I read it. You need to drop the terminal and type decrypt block 7. Okay. That was a lot. Kind of want to go through the marital adaptations, but... let's save real quick. Alright, so let's decrypt block 7. Crypt block 7. Decrypting block now. Cool. Alright, guess there are no other blocks to decrypt. Let's see. So, Mute's in an active storage right now. I guess I could swap her over. So, let's do this. So, power, control, disable, core, and she's in core. 1. Oh, that's unison. So, copy, core, 2, core, 1. That core is unpowered. Yeah, no shit. Okay. I guess I can't do that when they're both on. That kind of sucks, but... So she's still there. I just can't actually access her right now. Interesting. That kind of sucks. Power. Control list. Power use is at 19%. Alright, so mute's in inactive storage right now. That's cool. I have no idea how I'm gonna get her back on. Can I still... Let's help. Let's enable AI. Yeah, okay. And come on. Cool. And all right, get back to it. Very well. These are really hard for me to read. I haven't seen mine since I wrote them. I haven't seen my family as well ever. Well, I think I found here. I've had some. Please read them. If you want to know the whole story, those entries will explain. All right. Whew. Get to block number. Well, do I want to read all the marriage stuff first? You know, I'll get to this, and then I'll get to block 7. So I feel like this is some good stuff still. To the woman who will marry my husband, you're doubtlessly aware it is traditional for a noble man's mother to write poetic admonitions to be sent to the bride-to-be before she enters the family, explain the circumstances and profiteering advice to her. Sadly, her mother-in-law is long since departed, leaving the responsibility in my hands. Never had any such letters sent to me, for reasons which I'll explain soon enough, and I have furthermore studied verse only enough to know that I am able to write it well. I hope you do not think less of me, young pale bride, for addressing these letters in plain speech instead. Rather pay attention to my words over my form, and please do not be hasty in erasing these letters after reading them, for your own sake. I hope you find the advice and knowledge I impart on you useful. Oh, it's just, let me... And where's the block? Yeah, ooh. Hate whenever I get a bot. So nice, bot. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the stream, Mr. Bot. Alright, so... As you no doubt aware, the Reeve family has an extremely long and proud history. Every man to hold the title Captain Emperor has always been of our house, and you are here to make sure that continues for another generation. The name goes all the way back to the ancient times. Mythology speaks of Captain Ryu, who had control of even the ship's movement through the stars themselves. Such things remain far removed from everyday life, but it is important to understand the significance of the house, and that the title your first son will eventually come to inherit. To the woman who will marry my husband. It is an obvious matter that I do not have the same family name as my husband. The official story, if you have not already heard, is that we were cousins, making our marriage improper and less than ideal, but somewhat acceptable given the circumstances. At the time, there were no noble daughters who had not already been promised or given away in marriage, and obviously, a girl of any lesser upbringing could not possibly be suitable as a queen. Hence, cousins would simply have to do. Strictly speaking, this is all true. The part about there not being any noble daughters available is not a misrepresentation. And as far as any official genealogy is concerned, the Emperor is the son of my father's brother. The part you may not speak of openly is that he is the old Emperor's son only by adoption. As far as blood goes, my husband is also my brother. As children, we never lived together, and it would, of course, have been strictly improper to have spent any time together at that age. I would never say anything such as that my husband actually arranged for there to be no noble daughters to marry out of his desire to marry me. That would, of course, be a rather bold move to accuse an emperor of such. But you may wish to consider what the implications might be if such a thing truly did happen. I leave you to decide whether or not such a thing is plausible. All I will say is that despite our marriage being one of necessity, my husband has always been very fond of me. Yeah, I think it matters at the time. I didn't know about the incest. To the woman who will marry my husband. As for responsibilities, your burden will be quite light. You'll, of course, be expected to be the model of feminine virtue, but truthfully, I do not expect you will have very much trouble with this, so long as you keep your head down and avoid scandal and keep quiet. That will more than suffice. As far as the day-to-day is concerned, you'll have nothing to concern yourself with, as this is the royal family you are marrying into. As queen, I run the management of the house's affairs, and will not require any assistance from you in that regard. As part of a royal concubine's demonstration of modesty, you'll have to share my own personal servant, and will not have one of your own. While you will not have to be responsible for all housework, be modest and do not remain idle at her expense. You are expected to be as unseen as the servants, and to be voiceful only in the most moderation. Do not speak harshly to your servant, and be appreciative of what she does, and not incompassionate. Your one sole responsibility will be spending as much time with the Emperor as it will take to produce a son. After you give birth, you will not need to worry about raising him. I'll be there to make sure that all is arranged for. Simply make our husband happy, keep house tight, and give him a son. You'll have no more to worry about yourself with. To the woman who will marry my husband. The virtues which you are expected to demonstrate are simply those expected of any woman, and given your noble upbringing, I would not consent to treat you as if you did not already know them quite well. You are expected to be quiet and obedient, to me as well as obviously to our husband. Perchance you are scolded, trust my judgment as your elder. I'll never act out of anger or spite. If scolded by our husband, always respond with a smile, for your relationship with him must always be warm, and he is a wise man. I did not, however, anticipate such things will be problems. He told me of the interview in which he spoke to you, and had nothing to report at all on your manner of speech, so I trust that it was entirely proper and polite. In light of that, I'll say nothing further to the point. As far as ritual obligations go, you have none, save for following in my lead. Both your mother and father-in-law are long dead, so you have no further obligations to them. I had trouble adjusting at first, but I anticipate nothing you could be surprised by. Well, that's nice to know. That, he had nothing to say about how she spoke because she's mute. Huh. To the woman who will marry my husband. I will not tell you to avoid court politics entirely, so long as you do not cause trouble, but I will suggest that you simply watch from a distance. The temptation may exist to meddle, especially if you ever talk to our artificial girl, Mute, who lives inside our computer. She is a gossip and a friend of the Smith noble family, and is responsible for revealing much of what they try to keep hidden. She may seem fickle, but she does belong to the house over you first and foremost, and is quite loyal. Nevertheless, meddling is not your best interest. Do not play politics, not only for our sake, or for the sake of being a virtuous wife, but for the sake of your own family as well. They will receive favor, not through any scheme on your part, but through our husband's will. Entertain yourself with gossip if you wish, so long as you keep quiet about it, but stay out of politics. In the end, you will manage to go farther if you rely only on the rewards for being a good wife. To the woman who will marry my husband. But please, do not think all this is meant to say you will stay unloved. You may be a second wife, but you are still the daughter to a noble house, and that is a precious gift to your family. My husband has faith that you will bring him a son, and this means all the world to him. Nor am I jealous, for you will relieve a great heavy burden on our house, and for that I am grateful. As proof of his affection for you, let me share with you one secret which I have been permitted to tell only you, in honor of you, my husband. In his capacity as captain and emperor, has permanently changed his admin password to your birth name. My new sister, you'll be brought into the Rio family house not merely as a lowly woman, but a symbol of power in inner chambers. You will not only represent the continuation of your bloodline but by providing him a son, but your very own name will represent the power of the captain's computer. I understand this, pale bride. Your duty may be great, but you will be loved. That's a lot. And that brings us to where we started at and how we got Mute. Alright, so let's see what's in block 7. The Nightmarish Bride. It seems in the year I spent visiting my parents, everything has gone to hell in my husband's family without his knowing. Clearly, I should have never left. He has an idea, but he doesn't understand just how bad things have gotten. Oh, excuse me. When I left, it seemed under control. The pale bride would be of the right age to be married to the Emperor soon enough, and would be able to use that connection to bring favor to the family. A good plan, except it turns out the pale bride is not even close to ready for marriage. Age has nothing to do with it, it's the maturity that she lacks. When she first awoke, right before I left, she seemed a little confused, but that was hardly unexpected. She had a whole new family to get accustomed to, and it seemed obvious enough that anyone born so far in the past would have some difficulty adjusting to modern life. But this is far beyond that. There's something simply wrong with that child. When I got back, the first thing Young-suk's wife did was tell me about how sorry she was for not being able to control the child. I rolled my eyes. If a grown woman couldn't handle someone of her age, how are you going to raise my grandson like that? I asked. She was quiet. Let me see the pale bride for myself. The first time I saw Young-suk try to get her to do something as simple as sort out his laundry, she wasn't just disobedient, she was openly defiant. When I stepped in to admonish her, it had absolutely no effect. All she did was argue back at me. I tried every approach I could think of, appealing to fealty, explaining how important virtue obedience was, even trying to appeal to sentimentality, everything. She just kept saying the same thing, that it wasn't fair to make her do it. Here's the obvious concern, and what I said to her. Are you going to tell your husband he's not being fair when he wants something from you? I thought it would put some sense to her, but no, she just answered yes. There's no way this unruly child could possibly be marriageable. Not like this. She'd be sent back within a day. And with good reason. What man could possibly want a nightmare like her? Oh no. Mother, I don't really know what to say about her even now. This is the first time I read what she wrote, and it's just, well, there's more. Here, read them for yourself. I don't like where this is going. I really don't. That implies she wasn't mute at some point. Dear Diary, good news is health-wise, I seem to be doing much better this month, but I'm sure it isn't a permanent thing. It's happened before. I can't really remember how the doctor from the past explained it anymore. But he said it's totally normal, and not something to get my hopes up about. Still, some days this month I actually had enough energy to want to move around. Not that I could move around, of course. I can't leave the house. A good girl shouldn't, is what everyone keeps saying, but I have the energy to at least, and that's something. The big news is that the woman who's supposed to be my adopted mother came back. I didn't really see her much before she left. I might as well have been meeting a new person. I wish I could say I had high hopes for her. I had thought that she might find that it'd be a lie, though. I know she'd be as bad as the rest of the women I saw her. And she was, of course she was. She's even worse than sister-in-law. She gives these awful lectures. I can't describe them. They're that horrible. She's that horrible. If you're so worried, then why don't you just explain everything to her? Simply and rationally, Jung-soo asked me. My response was obvious. She's a woman. We're not particularly rational, he said. You know what I mean. I could hardly do it. But coming from a woman, perhaps she would understand. It's all for her own good. Perhaps I said, doubting it. But I tried anyway. She took her time arriving after I summoned her to my room. Can we speak? I asked her, trying to keep my voice calm. She glared and snapped, fine. I asked her to sit down, but she refused. Look, I said, trying to speak to her as an equal, I still don't think my husband is right, but it was worth trying. I've been told you'd rather be called Hyunai. Is that right? She said yes, bitterly, not giving me much to go off of. That's a pretty name, I said. Thanks, she said, but her voice was still unfriendly. My parents gave it to me. You must miss them very much, she nodded. I don't understand, Hyunai. Why were you so difficult with them? No, she said. They were nice. They actually cared about me. They're nothing like you people. I sighed. I care about you, Hyunai. You're part of the family. You're Kim. Your parents are our ancestors. I know they think it's very important that we raise you right. If you want to be a bad, unfilial daughter and treat us without any respect, well, you wouldn't be the first. Do you really think an old woman like me really cares that much about your opinion of me? I thought maybe I'd try appealing to her selfishness. Her marriage is important to the family, but clearly she doesn't care about filiality. It's you I'm worried about. Do you think any husband is really going to put up with you the way you are even for a second? She kept glaring at me. That's all you're to keep talking about. Marriage, marriage, marriage. I'm 14. I'm 14 years old. What's wrong with you? Why does everything have to be about some man? Why do you have to marry someone that you picked? She screamed at me, I remained. You're going to be a royal concubine, Hyunai. You're not dumping you off on just anyone. There's no better man. I don't know if you're already engaged in the past, but your parents would do the same if they could. This was best for you. They'd want this. No, they wouldn't, she shrieked. They wanted me to grow up. They wanted me to be an independent woman. That's what Mom and Dad thought was important. I don't want to be a concubine. I don't care about marriage. Independent woman? They wanted you to be a whore? I asked my patient run as anyone would be. I don't believe for a second my husband's ancestors were these monsters he was making them out to be. And was sick of this. Get out, I snapped at her. Just get out. hard. Long term, maybe she did grow and worn down that good, but that excuse what she did to me. I don't think it does. I think she had a choice, but if it does, surely what I did was just forgettable. You can forgive her for what she did to me. You have to forgive me for what I did to them. At least the people I wanted to hurt against it. So at least there's that. Her excuse, what did I ever do to deserve such cruelty? Even if she did believe everything she said. I can't forgive her. I can't pity her. I still hate her. New anxiety. Dearest mother, my mother-in-law has relieved me of any responsibility for looking after the pale bride. As a matter of pride, I feel bad that a simple child is too much for me to handle. But I'm glad she's not my problem anymore. Now I can put on my undivided attention back where it belongs, onto my husband and his ambitions. Tell me, though, mother, because I know we didn't always get along that well. I was never that bad, was I? Sure, we were both happy when I moved out. Well, perhaps I wasn't happy right away. I was more scared. But I'm sure you were relieved to have some peace. Some space. But you'd never have given up on me, right? I was never that bad, was I? Deep down, I worry. My husband seems content to take his time to have children, and which is a decision I can certainly live with. But what about when we do? What if we have a daughter? Will I fail with her too? I've been telling myself that it's not me, it's her. She's a particularly unruly child. It's not ordinary that bad. It's not, right? Please tell me. I have nothing to worry about. Please? No idea what her name was. The pale bride picked the worst of all possible days to throw another one of her childish fits, refusing to even get dressed for her interview. And this was one with the emperor himself. Not even my husband was able to get her to listen. He had to personally apologize himself for not being able to bring her as scheduled, and lied about a sudden illness. You have to do something about her, I said to my husband at evening. She's completely out of control. I know, he said. That is quite clear. He looked so worried, I hugged him and tried to comfort him. Everything would fall apart if something couldn't be done. She threatened to say something stupid and dangerous to the emperor, and we were both scared that she might. Maybe it's time to consider doing something drastic, I said to him. He nodded. I know. I can only think of one idea. I do not like it. I'd rather not. Even hitting her was far worse than I would have wanted. He explained his idea to me, and I agreed that it was terrible. I didn't like it either, but it would stop her from arguing, stop her from ruining her own life. My husband, as always, right. There's only one way. Recently, the pale bride's temperament has improved immensely. It isn't simply that she's quiet, it's that she's actually respectful and calmer. After rescheduling, she had an interview with the emperor, and he was actually quite charmed with her. I'm just so happy for her own sake that she's finally stopped resisting the marriage. It's all coming together now. A date has been set for when she'd be sent to live with him. In the meanwhile, things at home have been peaceful again for everyone. Actually, it's better than just that. I've been spending more time with her, of her own free will. I've been giving her advice for coping with marriage, and now the girl actually listens politely. Otherwise, there's little else to write about. I said been a better way to get her to behave, but in the end, it seems to be working out. I still can't imagine how awful it would be if she refused to ever leave the home, so they made life hell for us. Or worse, if she got sent off and tried to pull any of that on her husband, she'd get sent back for sure. Maybe now things will finally start to come together for the family. I must admit, for a time, I doubted the optimism that Jung Soon passed in the 319th year, but now it seems like he was right all along. What a relief. Dearest mother, today the pale bride left home to live with her new husband. As she is not a primary life, there is no fanfare or ceremony for her departure, so instead last night we had a big feast to commemorate. I know I had said bad things about her before, but it's not just that I was happy to see her gone. She's been better since her mother and father-in-law managed to get her to keep quiet. The thought of it still leaves me really uncomfortable. She is always such a confused child. I hate the fact that my family considers her so important and neglects my husband, and I certainly hate her for not appreciating the status and fighting it. But the fact that she doesn't understand the world, I can feel for that. It's not like I always understand myself. Regardless, it went quite well. The big feast was my idea, and she was happy to help with the cooking. Early, she spent the afternoon getting ready the dress she was going to wear when she arrived with mother-in-law, and she seemed rather anxious about it. While we cooked, I opened the wine early and poured it for her. I think she needed it. I told her the same story I told a while about how scared I was when I moved in. It seems as though it was a lifetime ago, and yet despite all the strangeness, I have grown so accustomed to it. You'll eventually grow to love him, I promised her. Just say you promised me all those years ago. I appreciate how good you'll have it. Alright, my last stand. Dear Diary, everything managed to spiral out of control so quickly today. I wasn't planning on it happening this way, but the point where I make my stand, I guess. It sounds dramatic, but I won't just let them marry me off to some stranger. I won't let them. Just for dinner yesterday, Mother told me that I had to go to an interview for some man, the Emperor. I guess for all I care. The way she puts it was, I'd get a chance to see that he's a man you could fall in love with, or something stupid like that. As if, I said in response. And I spent the rest of the evening thinking about what I could possibly do to make it clear I wouldn't let them do this. This morning after breakfast, sister-in-law showed up in my room. Good morning, she said. Today is a big day for you, isn't it? Mother-in-law wanted me to help you get dressed and all made up. You want to make a good first impression after all. I glared at her and summed up all the courage. No, I said. What? She asked. No, I'm not going. She left and Mother herself came in. This is it. I'm going myself. This is the big moment. I'm not going, I said. Before she could say anything, I'm not going to get dressed up. I'm not going to meet him. I'm definitely not going to get married, I shouted. For a moment, she said nothing and didn't move. Then she left too without saying a word. I thought that would feel good, but it didn't. It just made me worry more. I couldn't have possibly won that easily, I thought, and I hadn't, of course. After a few minutes, she returned to Father, who looked increasingly angry. Min-June said you're refusing to get ready for your interview, he said. Yeah, I stammered, not used to talking to him. I won't go. I won't get married. He walked over in just 2 strides, then glared at me for a second. I had no idea what he was going to do. Then he slapped me in the face so hard it knocked me over. Yes, you will, he said. I'll drag you there kicking to me if I have to. My face in so much pain, I forced myself to sit back up. I won't, I said, brace myself for a hit again. Yes, you will, he said. I couldn't keep up. It already hurt so much. I couldn't just brave that out. Then it came to me. If you make me do the interview, then I'll tell the Emperor you've been conspiring behind his back. It was all I could think of, and all I could do was cross my fingers and hope that threat worked. It had to. He glared at me. Then in that moment, I knew it worked. The two of them looked at each other and they both left together. That was 3 hours ago. I don't know what's going to happen now. I think my face is still swollen. It hurts and I don't want to go that way. So that's me making my stand. Oh god. Because of that, but for now, please just look at everything else first. You're making a scientific fool of yourself. I can't say that. Asking how to change anything was the most important thing. Hey, maybe you want to know how bad it could have been that made me think the whole family deserved to die. Well, if you haven't already guessed, here's my last diary entry. Just, I can't say it myself. I can't bring myself to even now. Just please read it. Oh, God. Forever silence. Dear Diary, the evening where everything went wrong, Oh god, how long ago was it? This is all the same day. The evening where everything went wrong, where I thought I was going to win with my adopted parents. Well, I didn't. I lost. Making my stand, I wrote just hours before it happened. Yeah, right. When I got called into the kitchen, there they both were. One of the stove burners. There's a knife. I thought it was a bit odd, but didn't care. Father stared at me and said, "The fighting needs to end now." He sure himself. Of course he was. He had every reason to be, but I stubbornly stood my ground. I said no. I did not want to hurt you, he lied. Just promise to be less argumentative and this can be end peacefully. But I just had to fight back. I just had to say no. I just had to remind him I wasn't joking. I really will tell the Emperor that you hurt me and that you plotted against him. No, he said, you won't. He motioned at Mother and said, bring her over. She grabbed me and I tried to dig my feet in, but it didn't work. Then Father pinned me against the wall with his whole body, and I kicked and screamed desperately, trying to get free, but it was no use. He was big, and I was small and sick and weak and frail. Then he grabbed the knife from the stove, and I shrieked in horror. No, I screamed at him, don't, but then Mother grabbed my mouth and held it open. I tried to keep screaming, but I was powerless and terrified. When he raised the knife towards me, I thought he was going to kill me. It was worse. The next thing I knew, I could taste disgusting flesh that he stuck his fingers in my mouth and pulled. I'm sorry, Mother said. Then briefly, all I could taste was steel, then nothing but blood. All I could taste was so much blood, nothing but blood. Finally, they both let go of me, then I collapsed onto the ground floor. Why, I wanted to say, but I couldn't. I blacked out in pain after that. But just before I did, I could swear I heard Father say, "You'll never argue with any man again." He was right, of course. Oh, fuck. God. That's why I gave up. That's why I wanted to kill them so much. Sorry, it's really hard to talk about. It's just, I'll try, I'm sorry. I told you it'd make sense, right? There's a good reason. Please tell me you don't think I'd let you down. Lord. Let's talk a little more. Alright, I have a really strong feeling about. It's not like I've been pouring my heart out to you because I like you or any. Oh, gosh. I can see you really. Oh, geez, I'm in love with you. I finally said it. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I know, it's that I'm being really silly, right? I mean, oh, geez, I'm sure you're thinking, right? I think it's ridiculous. You don't? Oh, that's why. That's why I'm in love. Because you manage to happily surprise me every time. I never thought that I'd find someone who understands me, someone who listens, who would hear my whole life story and doesn't hate me. You have been wonderful. I know. It's lots to spring someone on just like that. And I don't know if you're even a man, or the sort of woman who wouldn't have a problem with that and so unmarried. But if you are, do you think we might have a chance to get there? Even just a chance? You know, what's saying no going to do here? That was truly the most amazing I ever heard in my life. Thank you so much. I've been sort of thinking about this for a while, and it's a little embarrassing, I know, but, well, we don't have to rush to get married or anything. I mean, you know how scary it was the last time I was alive. I just really like to, just be with you as an equal. Oh, Lord. You can't marry an AI construct. I'm gonna let the AI construct think so. No idea how old you are, though I suppose you might be much younger, even maybe older, depending how you look at it. Nor do I have any idea where you're from, or even your name, but I know that you take me seriously. You understand me. You don't treat me as something just for being a woman. I know that I'm talking that it makes you feel better than I ever felt in my life, and that's good enough for me. That's far better than I ever had. So, very well, I'll decompile myself now, so that way you can drop the terminal and type download to copy everything to your ship, including myself. It should only take a few days to do a complete stamp to see, alright. This is how you're expecting me to feel on my wedding night. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Download in addition to logs. feel like I might have gone past the point of no return here, but I feel like I missed a whole lot of stuff not going down Mood's path. So let's see if I can't react well. Okay, so we got 20% battery. Primary has nothing left. Cannot start reactor. Damn. I think that's it, though. Well, that's Analogue, a hate story, going for the Yunai. Oh, yep. Where I get my AI waifu, it looks like. I mean, she committed mass murder. Straight up. But she, you know, she did fine. She committed mass murder, but, you know, she got turned into a mute. Coming message. Good work on recovering the Mingo House files. I spoke to the sponsor representing Audio. He sounded really pleased with what you delivered. I credited your account with the standard payment. Listen, I got another giant file lined up for you. It's on Earth, but it sounds to me like the last job you used to change the pace. That's sequel bait. Ending 2. Completion rate this time, 54%. Total completion rate, 54. Yep. All right. So I get concept art. Legs ended up looking too short. Nice. Final. Legit. Bye. Here's, we'll get to see the colored version of this GIF image. There are a total of 114 expressions for Unai and 64 for mute. Endings. AI on tablet. Ending template. Alright, so we got a couple different endings here. So the one we got was the former bride falls in love for the first time. There's one where I leave alone, which I guess I could get by just loading up my save file right there. Then we have the security programs lead to her duties, which I guess that means that, you know, oh, I guess ending 1 is just the same as that, but, you know, I don't marry her. I say, you know, it's cool and all, but I don't like you. Investigator leaves alone, and security programs lead to her duties. I guess that's me taking mute with me or shutting her down. And the last one's the harem ending, which who knows how I go that. Historical notes. Based on the Joseon, obviously, one of the most brutally oppressive eras for women in Korean history, Dynasty is characterized by its long-term enactment of a highly regressive social program. It ended up transferring what had been a fair society into an incredibly stratified, stagnant, oppressive exaggeration of traditional Confucian ideas. Some of the details of the Mongol society were fanciful. The low fertility rate, the pale bride's injury, the large number of women's letters which were saved, the small royal family, or the idea of a woman maintaining as much power as mute, but most are not. in the most important ways, this is what society really was like. The beliefs expressed are not exaggerations, they are often understatements. Wow. Not required. Okay. So there is like good, basis for, things that were talked about here that I went through. Really good game. Messages. I have all the messages. Like, there's this entire block, which I probably could have gotten to mute to tell me more about. This entire bit, this one. Yeah, there's a lot. Hell, there's 2 missing here. And we have a hatestory.com, which is the website for the game. Lord. What a fucking game. Alright, well, that will end the stream for the night. If anybody's still watching, thanks for tuning in. I will have this uploaded to YouTube more than likely, so if you weren't able to come in and see me reading this or experience it, you can do that yourself too. But, it's a good game, and I appreciate everybody for coming along for the journey if you were here. Have a good night, everyone.